You're listening to the Payments Perspective podcast, where we help you navigate your payments journey one episode at a time. WestPay supports over 800 members, from financial institutions to fintechs, through expert education, guidance, and over 50 years of payments expertise. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Payments Perspective podcast by WestPay. My name's Connie LaChance. I'm a Vice President of Education and Training here at WestPay. And today I am pleased to welcome Jen Sauers. She's Senior Vice President of Client Services at CheckAlt. And our topic today is going to be on why online bill pay can still generate paper checks. So before we get going here, Jen, I want to just say this is a very interesting topic for me because when I was at my institution, I was kind of like given that responsibility of handling the bill pay system in the background. And so, talking about, trying to help people understand why they think it's electronic, but they're getting these paper checks. I think this is just a great topic here. So I just want to put that out there. But Jen, so welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. And so before we get going on all these questions I have for you today, can we start off with having you tell us a little bit about yourself in particular and CheckAlt?
Sure. So like you said, I'm the Senior Vice President of Client Success. Myself and my team are responsible for all the clients at CheckAlt, making sure that we're providing the correct services and solutions that allow them to have an integrated solution that allows them to take payments of both accurately, and efficiently.
Perfect. All right. So I guess, shall we jump into our topic today?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's get going. Okay. So as I mentioned, right, when it comes to bill pay, a lot of folks will assume that online banking bill pay payments are always electronic. So why do some of those still go out as paper checks?
Great question. So there are two sides to every transaction. So you have the consumer side that is initiating the payment. They're going to their financial institution. They are setting up online bill pay, whether or not they're setting up a one-time payment or a reoccurring payment. And because they are initiating it electronically, they're making an assumption that it is going electronically. But there's another side to that transaction, and that is the biller or the merchant, and ensuring that that biller and merchant is set up to receive electronic payments. So in some cases, the consumer says, yep, I'm going out there, I'm making electronic payment, but because the biller is not set up, unfortunately, that transaction still becomes a paper check and therefore falls into the timeline that it takes to receive a paper check, as well as the process for paper checks as well. So it's two sides. Not only does the consumer need to initiate an electronic payment, but the biller also has to be set up to receive electronic payment.
Yeah, I think you can always tell based on when it's going to be delivered, right? That's kind of how you know. Is it going to be
100%. That's it. That's the go-tell time. The unfortunate thing for the consumer is, even though it may go out paper, the funds are still deducted from their account immediately. So in their mind, they've paid. Unfortunately, to their biller's mind, they have not received those funds yet. So there's still an outstanding balance.
So let's talk about that, right? So what actually happens behind the scenes when an online bill pay payment is converted to paper? Why does that matter for the financial institution themselves as well as the biller? So let's dig into that a little bit.
So for a financial institution, it requires more now expense that they have to pay on their side for their online bill pay provider to create a paper check, to mail a paper check. For the biller themselves, when that occurs, some online bill pay providers will create paper checks, print paper checks that same day and ship them out. In some cases, they may say, we only have one or two payments and it's not, there's not enough volume for us to ship them out immediately. So what they'll do is they'll hold that and they'll wait until they have enough volume that makes sense for the cost of postage, the cost of shipping it. And so in that scenario, it is delayed. So the consumer has a delayed payment. For the biller side, it also means that they're delayed in getting paid. So it may take a day or two for that check to be printed. It then goes through U.S. Postal Service, which I can tell you can take anywhere from 5 to 21 days, depending on where you're shipping from and where you're shipping to. So it's essentially a delay in that scenario. In the case of a biller, a delayed payment means now they have an open AR they have to go find. They have to go and sorry, why is this consumer not paying? What is that check? And so it can cause a lot of delays for cash flow, things of that nature that puts them at a disadvantage.
Yeah. And we hope that the check isn't intercepted
And
on
we
its
hope
way
that
to
we hope the check is
Walmart.
not intercepted or gets lost in the mail, because
Right.
unfortunately that happens too.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So you talked about biller networks and things like that. So how does that enrollment affect whether that payment remains electronic or not? Can you talk a little bit about biller
Sure,
enrollment?
absolutely. So as part of the online bill pay solution, there is a biller network. So billers can either join a biller network directly, or they can go through their financial institution's treasury management team to say, I want to be set up to receive payments through online bill pay electronically. So at that point, they would then join that biller network, and that just allows them to complete the cycle that that transaction can now be received all the way through to the biller electronically.
Now, is there one, and I don't know if I'm going to ask this later, but is there
Sure.
one large biller network they join, or do they have to go out and join individuals, like
So
figure out
there's
where to go?
It's a great question. So there's kind of two folds to that question. There is a biller network where multiple online bill pay customer providers work together. They can join that network. There is some individual ones that you can join individually through most treasury management solutions. You have the ability to join one or many, which gives them the ability to catch as many of those payments electronically as possible.
So I've heard the term like electronic lockbox, right? So how does electronic lockbox help keep eligible online bill payments electronic from initiation to posting? How does that work?
So at CheckAlt, we refer to our ability to accept biller online payments through electronic as an electronic lockbox. So it can be set up in, well, our recommendation is that it is set up in conjunction with your paper lockbox. So it essentially allows us that we would work with those online biller networks. We would enroll you in those networks. It then, once those transactions start to flow, we receive them electronically. We then send them through electronically to the biller or to the financial institution.
Okay, now that I think about it, I may have had one like that when I was at my institution. So it's, kind of like this centralized place where you help them get going, right? And it gets to where it needs to go. Either, like you said, right to the biller, or at least through their financial institutions. So that's wonderful. And so then which organizations then tend to see the greatest benefit from an electronic lockbox, and why would that, what is that benefit?
So the type of organizations that have the most benefit are really consumer to business payments, where you have a consumer that is out there making a payment, whether it is a utility, whether it's a loan payment, where the consumer is making a payment and it's going through to their biller. You see that more than in the business to business side, as most businesses don't initiate payments through online banking. That's really a retail consumer banking product. So any biller that is accepting consumer-based products, that's really, that's where it really makes a lot of sense to have an electronic lockbox, or, the ability to accept online bill pay items electronically.
Right. Yeah. I guess usually businesses just like transmit directly to each other in some of those cases, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about electronic bill pay then. What type of operational challenges do you see with regards to electronic bill payments? What do they create? And especially when it comes to things like exceptions, maybe reconciliation, as well as when somebody needs a refund.
So in a lot of cases with electronic bill pay, these items are reoccurring. So they're a payment that you pay every month. The payment tends to be the static, or within a certain amount. And so what tends to happen is a consumer will set up a reoccurring payment, and what we tend to see is people forget it. It's like set it and forget. And so what sometimes occurs is that consumer will close their account. So when that electronic payment comes through, the biller will get it and they'll see it's a closed account, and they'll be like, oh no, what do we do with this? A lot of cases, unfortunately, then they have to issue a paper check back to the consumer, which completes our cycle. But one of the options that we have at CheckAlt is that we can run electronic lockbox payments through the same rules, through the same functionality that we have with paper. So, and it allows that if you're not, if that is not a valid account, we will send it to exceptions, and you have the ability to return it immediately. We also have functionality with the same set it and forget it, where we will have, people a biller will have to change their account numbers or something of that nature. And the consumer just doesn't realize that that's something they have to do. So we'll continue to get those payments. We'll get them with the old account number, and it adds additional work for the biller. At CheckAlt, we have the ability to use AI functionality to say, once we get a bad account, once the biller changes it once, we can remember it. And then that allows that they're not going in month after month after month having to do manual work just because, the consumer did not realize additional changes were needed.
Right. So that'd be changes from my account at the biller.
At the biller level, that is correct.
Got
So,
it.
we've had scenarios where we've dealt with some loan payments and they've gone through a conversion and the loan number changed through acquisition or merger of that nature. So this allows that those payments can continue to come through. The biller can change it once to the new account number, and then every time we receive the incorrect account number, we will automatically change it, which just means that there is less work for the biller to do through that conversion. Account number conversions are stressful enough.
Yeah.
This is to
Oh,
take
yeah.
some of that relief off of them as well.
Yes. Yes, I have been there. And I think what's really important about that is that you want the end user, like you want your customer, your member to make this as easy as possible. Like, especially in situations like loan payments, like we want your loan payments. We don't want to kick them back, right? Because
Exactly.
they can't figure out where to put it and, delaying your loan payments. So I think if it's really streamlined, for as far as the consumer, right? They're oblivious, right? Because things just keep working and everything's working great, and I don't have interruptions in my payments. So I think that's really great, and especially there's a lot of institutions that are merging, so that can really be beneficial.
100%. We've really seen some benefit with specifically banks and credit unions that are going through mergers, that are taking loans. It's really been beneficial and has helped them immensely.
Yeah. So as financial institutions themselves, they're going to continue to modernize receivables. So what should payment lenders be thinking about when evaluating their own online banking bill pay strategies?
So the big thing I would say is look for a solution that is fully integrated, where you have the ability to take lockbox, you have the ability to take electronic lockbox, remote lockbox. Look for a vendor, look for a solution that allows you to have all and have cross, so you can see, that allows you to see where are your consumer, or where are your consumers sending payments through, what channels are you receiving, but it also allows them to go through the same rules and functionality, so you're getting the same type of edits, the same type of checks, and by having one vendor, it allows it much easier for you to manage versus having to swivel like, oh, I get, paper lockbox over here, I get electronic lockbox over here. It makes it far more simple for the back office to balance every day, to pay invoices every day. I would really suggest that looking for a fully integrated receivables solution.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I know for myself from a consumer standpoint, sometimes you look at the bills you're paying and you wonder why a particular biller isn't receiving electronic payments, because you would think they're pretty significant biller. Like, why is it paper all the time? Right? This is what goes in my brain, and I would love it to be able to say, hey, you guys need to figure out how to make this electronic. So, hopefully with using a particular vendor, like a CheckAlt, that could bridge that gap, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Between
And
the consumer and the biller.
And at CheckAlt, we work with financial institutions, and in some cases, we work with billers directly. It really depends on the size, but we really want to offer the solution to make the biller's life easier, but also to help the consumer on, making sure that their payments come through as efficiently, accuracy as possible.
Yeah, yeah, because for you guys, like you're the hub, right? So for the financial institution, it's so hard for them. Like they're just trying to process payments, right? And it's hard for them. Like they don't have that contact information, right, with those billers to be able to reach out to them. So having that centralized place is great, because you guys take that on, right? You got all that stuff, and you're able to do all of that. So
Absolutely, and we
takes that off the financial institution as well.
Yep, and we work with all of the biller networks that are out there, so we really want to have a comprehensive solution that allows, as much to stay as electronic as possible.
It's great. Yeah, you just talk with each other, which is great. It's how we make it what we call interoperability, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, make it all work together. So, all right. Is there anything else you'd like to share about bill pay and any other insights?
Nope, I would say that, if you're a financial institution and a treasury management solution and you're looking for something, we're definitely available to help and reach out and we'll definitely be able to assist.
That's wonderful. Great. All right. Well, I guess that's the end of our podcast today. But a lot of great information about bill pay, and now like, why is it going as a check, right? Because we need to get them set up through an
Absolutely.
electronic lockbox. So yeah, great information. Great information. So I'd like to thank you, Jen, for joining us today. And of course, if anybody would like to contact CheckAlt directly, we'll have their contact information available in the description of today's podcast. Of course, I'd also like to thank all of our members for tuning in and watching our podcast, as well as to others that are just joining and listening to the Payments Perspective podcast. So if you're not a WestPay member, we'll also have some information in the description if you are interested in becoming a member. So we'll have a link out there that'll take you over to our membership page. And then, of course, as you all know, you're here already, right, listening to the podcast. So you can always subscribe to the Payments Perspective podcast anywhere podcasts are available. So thank you again, Jen.
Thank you.
So please join us next time as we continue to work together in shaping the future of payments. Bye, everyone.